We have Sandra Rowe, Chief Executive Officer at the Global Blockchain Business Council. Also serves on New York State, I think, Digital Currency Task Force, and the EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum. So, welcome to the show, Sandra.
Hi, Joe. Thanks a lot for having me. Excited to be
Yes.
here.
Yes. Is it Sandra or Sandra?
It's Sandra, but I'll answer to
Okay.
both.
Okay. No worries. No worries. All right. So how did you get involved in blockchain? What brought you here?
So, anyone who's an old timer will have heard me and my story. I was living in London and I was in the FX markets on the trading side. And the FX trader space started hearing about Bitcoin back in like 10, 11, 12. And I heard it towards 2012. And I thought, hey, this is interesting. And like most people, read the white paper and thought, at least in my brain, it was automatically, hey, could this disrupt the financial markets, in particular the FX markets? Because it sounds like really cool tech. And then I got into it over the years after that. Some people might know I ran digitization at the Skated Group, which is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange Group. We launched the Bitcoin pricing indices and then the futures. And I left in late 2017 to really focus on blockchain for social impact. And my goal now is to work on initiatives and support those who are working on democratization of finance, access, building back more resilient systems. Part of it has to do with probably going through several financial crises as a banker. Our systems are not as good as they should be. And frankly, we need to rethink the way we do things.
Very true that. So the GBBC, what does the
Yeah.
GBBC do, and what have you guys accomplished to
Yeah.
date?
Like many things in our space, it was formed by a group of entrepreneurs. It came out of the Blockchain Summit in 2016 during Sir Richard Branson's Necker Island Blockchain Summit, which occurs usually once a year. Obviously, this year it didn't happen. And this is a nonprofit out of Switzerland, Geneva, focused on educating, advocacy, and partnership, particularly with governments, regulators, central bankers, executives at some of the biggest companies in the world, to really help them unpack a very confusing landscape. Even though, Joe, you're doing this day in and day out, and I'm in this space 24/7, it's hard to keep up with all that's going on around the world. And frankly, there's a lot of noise as well.
Yes, yeah, and so how do you keep up with because the regulations, even in the U.S., let alone all of the different places in the world. I mean, how does GBBC keep up with the changes, and what does it do? Does it help
Yeah.
members out, or does it
Yeah.
try to influence?
Think of us as the adults in the room. Think of us as the bridge builders. We try to be very sensible, no nonsense, unpack the various elements. We try to understand both sides. We love innovators, but we also understand that there are things that require structure, and there's just certain things big institutions have to adhere to, so they're limited in sometimes being able to innovate. What we're really trying to do is two things. One is this is a multi-trillion-dollar industry in the making. And when I say industry, I'm really talking about everything: blockchain, digital assets, crypto, you name it. We've got to nurture this in a way that helps opportunity sets around the world, not just the US or just China, but everywhere, for people to have a fighting chance to build if they want to build something. I think that's really cool about this tech. But then, secondly, beyond that, creating, besides democratizing the opportunity set, on the business side, we also want to make sure that governments understand and are not afraid of what this technology can actually do for them. And that's the thing that we spend a lot of time on is, getting away from crypto is scary or tokens are scary or, all the negative elements. It's around what can this technology do to actually help facilitate either payments or oversight, information sharing. How do we make citizens' lives better by potentially, a digital identity solution. And let's face it, governments, whether you like them or not, are able to scale solutions, in a way that just a lot of other institutions cannot. So you want to get 1 billion or 2 billion people, galvanized over one thing. Look at what India did with their identity solution. I mean, it's not on a blockchain yet, but they're looking at it. They got over 1 billion, most of their population on an identity system. That's scary.
Right. So, and what does membership entail? What does it take to become a member?
Yeah, so we believe in meritocracy, aka fairness. The biggest companies have to pay the larger share, for profit companies, and then we actually even dissect down to the individual emerging country level. So meaning we have certain countries we consider frontier countries. So if a company or an enterprise, we only take membership at an institutional level, falls into the frontier country category, then they pay a much lower rate than a US entity, for example. We think that's fair. And so we really believe in contribute to the network, not only financially, but also participate. But, it's got to be done in as fair of a way as we can make it, and transparent. Just to be clear, we never charge government, nonprofits, academia, NGOs, any kind of officials in that way. They come into our network on an invitation basis only.
Okay, interesting. And let's see here. So, 2021, we're probably a lot of people think we're out of the bear market, which for a lot of what GBBC does, a lot of what we do, even it doesn't actually matter, the bear and bull market, but it's very noticeable for adoption. That is, for whatever reason. It's obvious, I guess, that when number go up, people hear more about it and maybe therefore ask more about it. So what are your plans, given where we are right now, 2021 coming, and all of the obvious applications and a lot of the attention that we're getting in the industry? What is GBBC planning for the next few years?
Yeah, no, thanks for that. You're pitching right into the focus areas that we've just organized and decided for 2021. We just had our leadership summit and our board meeting. So we're going to focus on 3 major areas. And I think this is something for everyone. Number 1, we are going to focus on digital infrastructure. And what does that mean? We're looking at who is building the rails of next generation digital highways. And that means whether it's in China with the BSN International and BSN, or the US, there's now rumblings now about, whether the US is going to step up with getting the democracies together, whether it's India that plans to lead on the remote voting and identity side. We are looking at all of those, plus. There are many other countries that are also, and then networks. How are social networks going to play into that? Facebook has 2.7 billion people or something to that effect. That's bigger than any country. So what does that do? The Ethereum network, the Dragonchain network, any network has groups of people now. And what influence will those groups of people have in moving? It's not just about the money aspect. This is about what will be built on top of these networks will influence all of us over time. And in our minds, our concern, number 1, is it a UN-like consortia structure where people get as fair of an input on governance as possible? Or is it going to get dictated by a dictator, aka one country, that will decide the rules of the road? That's problematic in our view. So that's one, major one. Number 2, unless you have a question, Joe.
No, keep going.
Is standards and mapping. And I'm the first to tell you, when it comes to standards, I'm wow, it's a snooze fest. However, standards create the ability to scale and adopt. We have to agree on basic things like taxonomy and just being able to facilitate commonality in some way to then allow others to build on top, right? Whether it's a token standard or whether it's an actual fabric layer standard or it's a regulatory standard. The point being is we still have a mishmash. We launched the Global Standards Mapping Initiative. You guys can go to our website and check it out. There's an interactive map. We literally took 185 jurisdictions, including 49 states, and we have amalgamated all of the legislation, bills, laws, you name it, that came out of government, it's all in one place. We also, with the World Economic Forum as our core partner, they worked on with MIT and a bunch of other institutions on the 30 plus technical entity standard setting entities, and they've evaluated that. And we've looked at gaps, where are the overlaps, and where work still need to be done. So with that, we have GSMI 2021. It's a working group is open to anyone. We'll be announcing all the working groups come January. But long story short, we've had an outpouring from global institutions and people all over the world. It's been great. And lots of people are digging in from every part of the world that you can think of. So we're really excited about. We were already global, but this 2021 grouping is going to be even more fantastic. And that includes stakeholders across academia, government, et cetera, et cetera. And the third, which is vitally important, sustainability and resilient systems. And that includes SDGs, the UN SDGs, the green economy, tokenized carbon credits, green bond trading. All of this stuff is becoming very in vogue. I think 2021 is going to be a big year for this stuff. And frankly, there's a lot of good work being done. So we're going to look to foster that.
Nice. Okay. So where can people follow you and the council on what's coming up and how they can get involved and everything else they might want to do?
Yeah, I mean, look, our newsletter's free, so go to our website, gbbcouncil.org, and we're also on Twitter. Not quite the biggest Twitter followers, but we're more of a LinkedIn crowd. So if you're on LinkedIn, you can join us there. It's a bit old school, I get it, but a lot of our members are also old school. So we've got a mishmash of not only cool cutting edge innovators, but we've got the really old stalwarts and kind of established institution as well. But that's what's unique about our network, is we're trying to bring those very different sides together.
It's probably good to stay away from the Twitter trolls. Definitely stay off Reddit. Don't do anything on Reddit.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. No. Thanks for joining. And we'll be right back with some updates on DIN and everything else. Right. Thanks, Sandra.
Thanks.